So, start? Okay. Good morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about our capstone project, our final capstone project. That's a project that we develop 3 applications for a cell watch company. So, this is the team that was responsible for make it happen. So, me, Michelle, not as a project manager and a business analyst. I was responsible to getting requirements and also helping in coding and web part. May was our full stack web developer, so she take care of the front end and the back end of our application. Me, Dennis, also act as a full stack, but in the mobile part, front and back end. And Jesse took care of the database, parts of web development and in our documentation.
So before I introduce to you our client, let's see the problems that they encountered before they're meeting us. So job photos sent by non-professional platforms like Facebook, email, WhatsApp, and others. Late reporting, we have manual managed through Excels or the traditional way, logbooks, manual daily activity report submission using the hard copies, not convenient to download the image files, and tracking technicians' activities, it's quite hard, and underestimate to set met due date or not meeting the target time. So our client is Auckland-based company called Cellwatch Communications Limited. It is a network company in New Zealand with 8 years experience delivering services of network users from a single house to a high-rise buildings in Auckland, New Zealand.
In the following slide, we're going to talk about the final product of our application, such as mobile application, commercial and web application, system architecture, and last but not least, database structure. First of all, I would like to talk about the mobile application user interface. This is some of the user interface, such as navigation bar, user profile, task list of tasks, and map.
So this is the commercial website. This is just a wireframe design. So the first design was rejected because it contains multiple pages. So I have redesigned the website just by simple like creating some wireframe. They want a single page that all of the contents for the company information are just in one single page. So that was approved. And also this one is the web admin. As you can see, there's also some navigation, but I created cards. It's overlaying the maps, and to make this application possible, I have used Angular, Firebase, and Bootstrap to design it.
This is the system architecture. This is the design representation of the whole system. It is a conceptual model that represents the design. So we have 2 main key users, the admin and the technicians. The admin has an access on both mobile and web. The technicians has an access in mobile only. So this is an internet and cloud-based applications. We have a central database called Firebase, and we have a local storage. So the database structure, this is the database structure. Again, we use Firebase as our central database, which has 4 branches individually, like location, users, task, and task type. So we use UID as our primary key.
Now let's move on to technology use. In our system, we consist of 2 main things: is web, which is use Angular framework, and mobile, which is use native Android as based on Java. And the main reason why we choose Android is that it has a great support and large community, such as Stack Overflow, where we can see the approval code that is working, and this is one of my favorite books. And the limitation is battery usage, because Android operation system do a lot of background service and it consumes a lot of battery, and as our application use background survey to send the location every 30 minutes.
So why we choose Angular? These are the three main keys we got. So it's ease of use. You don't have to write long codes. And then we have the science-led solution, which is very compatible in browsers like mobile browsers. And of course, we choose Angular because Angular was developed by Google and Firebase was acquired by Google. So they're being biased with each other. It saves us a lot of time for a big project. So we don't have to do lots of scripting or stuff in order to make the application work.
And the main
And of course, there's some limitations. Of course, we are facing it in every solutions or in every tools. So the limitations are new terms and concept. So the previous usage of conditional like loop, nesting, and something, it's now we can use as NG for NGF. Divided churning community. The blogs and the user shareable things, it's limited and sometimes it's hard to follow because they keep on developing as time goes by. So we have a steep learning curve. It is a very straightforward application. So it's not like the developers will having a confusion sometimes.
And the main reason why we choose Firebase Cloud as our cloud service instead of other is that we just use similar code structure for creating a user. Like we can just call Firebase dot authentication dot create user with email and password, the same both mobile and web.
And again, there's a limitations. Firebase Cloud only support NoSQL, and we know that we are now on the trend of NoSQL. So migrate to other cloud platforms that use SQL database. And the last is reporting tools. It's not available anywhere. They're using analytics.
So how this magic works? How make how things happen? How can bring the thing together? We start our planning, make our thing here to try to divide our tasks per weeks, and each 2 or 3 weeks we have a deliver that was sticking with our methodology. So we have this division of the task that you have to do and have to meeting to finish it. Another point is about requirement elicitation. We try to use a code that can easily identify. So this, for example, means mobile, functional requirement, and number 6. And this code was related to the test and also to the bug report. So we can easily tracking all of the requirement and see inside the testing. The methodology that we choose was crystal clear. We choose it mainly because it fits in our small team. And also the way that it works. So it's based on frequently delivered, based on osmotic communication. So we have access, we have to work together and communicating at all time. And also we have to have easy access to the expert users, to key users, to check our development. Cost is just for a small project and doesn't support life critical project. Another thing is about teamwork. So we are a group of 4, and it put a lot of effort to make it happen. Sometimes we have different backgrounds and have different moods in the day, so we have to keep all of this together and make it perfect.
Yeah.
So these are the bugs. There are actually lots of bugs in our system, but we will just point out these five of it. But the main one is like we cannot delete technicians in authentication because we can register technicians, but in Firebase it will go through the authentication first before storing in the database. So we can delete the technician in the database, but we don't. We're still finding way how to delete it in the authentication part of Firebase. So it's a bug.
So regarding to testing, we also write the design testing, and it's, as you can see, it's related to the requirements. So I use, in this case, testing mobile function requirement 1.2. So it's easy to see when you look at the requirements, you can also can see the testing. We put the test. This is a part. It's a good one, it's a green one, but we also got a lot of plots. And after that, we made the bug report. So it's still related to this. So BR, like bug report, T, testing mobile functional requirement. So it's easy to track since from the requirement to the bug report, so you can see everything. May you talk
And
about
also that in testing, we have asked some professionals. My previous mentor, like she do the testing in our application, and she saw a lot of lapses, bugs, and things that need to be fixed. She even told us that she was being honest that the application is not deployable because we should like do the testing before deploy, but we failed to do it. So there's a lot of things that we need to fix, especially in the lack of information in the application and also the format.
So group reflection, we summed up with our group reflection. It goes like this. We have three main key points of the reflections. First is the miscommunications or language barrier. This is, as everyone knows, we are diversified with different nationalities, and sometimes it's hard to communicate. The other perceived with something bad or not good, but it's really hard to communicate because this is not our first language. The next is team management. Time management and team management, of course, because this is a teamwork. And sometimes we're supposed to meet the deadlines and we couldn't because of some lapses and because of we have our task to finish first before a group thing. And the last one is...
Yes, and about the technical reflection, I think the main thing that we face problem is how to use the crystal clear, the methodology properly. So many of our problems we get because this lack of use of the methodology. So if you test it properly, we avoid a lot of errors, and we face difficult to find how to follow it.
3 minutes more.
This is a video that we show how our application works. So let's go there. This is a mobile app. Log in as an administrator. And this is a profile. We show admin can see all technicians and can create tasks for technicians. With this part, he's choosing a technician and assign a task for them. So this is the technician.
There's a notification on the upper part.
Yep. And you can also add new technicians. This part will create a user inside the authentication and also in database. So you see now we can fill the complementary information and also put a photo.
There's a trigger to allow or deny if
Mhm.
accepting the photos.
And also the technician could create a task. If he is in field, he also can create a task for them. Checking about empty fields. And after that, he can start or finish and send information. He can send the photos about the job finished or the job started.
Yeah.
And to create a zip file that could be accessed from the admin side, so they don't need to use more WhatsApp or Facebook to send the image.
Like what I mentioned before.
This is the technician tag tracking, and this is the admin view in web app. So they can see.
So this one you can see we have both features of tracking the technicians, both on mobile. We have the same feature, so you can find it there.
Yeah, this is the list of technicians, and also if you click here, you can see its tasks, or you can edit. This part is for add a new technician, so they can create a new one and also put his information.
The encoding part.
Yeah, and this is the task that you can see. We can see technicians and his tasks, then we can see all tasks, and we can create a new one and assign to a technician.
We have also pagination.
This is the commercial website. that we made to replace the old one.
Too many rejects before it come up with the final
Yes.
one.
And that's it.
So,
And that's it.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe one or two questions, maybe two questions from the students, other students.
You told that you have a bug when you are deleting in Technician, for example.
Mhm.
It's possible to delete from the database, but not from the
Authentication.
authorization. So you are using another system to do this authorization. What are you doing?
Okay.
we just create assign user to the user authentication by email, and then we get the UID put in the database.
Okay,
And
but it's apart from
Yeah, it's-
your. Okay.
Yes.
different.
It's the Firebase authentication.
Yeah, and
Yeah, because
it's a huge problem because it could crash our mobile application because
Yeah.
there is no information of the user
Yeah,
when they
sometimes.
delete it.
Okay.
One more question. Atul?
Yeah. What do you face difficulties for your making your project?
Oh, okay. We actually face a lot. Like for example, we start as a group. We don't have background in backend. Only Dennis has the background on it, but he's very
Yeah,
in
no,
mobile. So we are all adjusting in the web. We have to learn it from scratch. So we are encountering. We use a new technology, encountering new terms, and we use
New
the old.
methodology.
Yeah. So that's we encounter a lot miscommunication.
for me as a DBA, I used to work in RDBMS or SQL database, and now suddenly I switched to NoSQL, and I don't have idea. I had to study what are the trends right now.
Yeah, and also that I think there's to learn everything new is really different for us.
It's hard.
It was really hard
to adjust.
To adjust.
Especially we are expecting for our roles. I was expecting to use PHP and MySQL, and I'll just do the front end. But suddenly there were changes. I have to do the back end. We're not using PHP. We're not using MySQL. So I have a mental breakdown how to do things properly. But it's all sorted out. Just learn. Don't stop learning.
For me, I used to work just alone, so it's really hard for me, especially when trying to make a mobile app that's also work with the web application. It's two different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, two
It's
different.
really challenging.
Like the restructuring or destructure, it really, that's how we face difficulties about the database structure.
Okay, Naga? Maybe Diana first. Because we are more involved with them.
Yeah, okay.
That's why.
Okay, first of all, I think that was a really, really good presentation.
Thank you.
Woohoo! You listened to everything from before, and you spoke one at a time. It was really organised. One minor, I think, issue is that you kept waving at the slides. So just take care not to do that. And at the very end, you guys started fighting for who was talking. And I don't know if you were supposed to both be talking or if you just relaxed. But all the way through, it was a really, really nice
Actually, it
presentation.
was a kind of helping.
Yeah, but that's where it all
Supporting each
falls
other,
apart
yeah.
because everybody, it lost the professionalism just at the
Yeah.
end. Okay, but really, really good. I was really impressed with them. Okay, so you've told us that you used Angular and Firebase, and you were really careful to tell us about the limitations, but you didn't tell us what these are and why you chose them. So let's start with Angular. What is Angular? And why did you choose it?
Angular is like a JavaScript framework. So it's when I search about Angular, I just want to tell my honest opinion. I was searching because at first I was using JavaScript, but there are lapses I don't know how to implement security and stuff. And when I search about Angular, it provides everything, the authentication, so it makes the whole application secure. And why we choose it because we wasted 1.5 months. I use JavaScript and I need to find fast a good solution. a good application to use in order to synchronize with the mobile. So that's why we choose Angular.
Okay,
So,
that's cool. That's
yeah, we're
yeah.
lacking about how to. We should talk about it, plan about it. Just don't go directly. I have to choose this because I have to create this, because the client is like, we're always there. He will just like, and we're in the table. He'll just sit and look at us. Can you give us Can you give me an update? So it's like nerve-wracking for me, especially in the web part.
But you did do some homework. I mean, you checked
Yeah,
to see
that's
that.
our
Okay, that's
fault.
cool.
We did not follow the methodology.
Yeah, okay, good. And so, what about Firebase? Why did you? What is Firebase, and why did you choose it?
Yeah, Firebase is, as we know, it's a real-time database. And the first time we met our client, we need an app like this, like a tracking system of the users, because they are using mobile only to talk about it. And what is the technology that we are going to use? Especially in Firebase, most of the database are offering the same, and they have good and they have like that. So, but see, we consider that will work both in mobile and web app at the same time. So,
Right, but you still haven't told me what it is. Why is it different from an SQL database, and why did you choose it?
I think the main difference is, as a real-time database, it avoids.
What do you mean by real-time database?
Every
I mean,
change.
the database just sits there holding data, and you put things in and you take things out. So
Every
what do you
change you
mean?
made in database, it will reflect automatically
yeah.
in both peers. So
With that.
we can just different from a relational database, and we put the data, and we have to reload the peer to get this updated data. In a real-time database, you put the data, and it will reflect automatically
Yes.
in any place that you are. So this is a real-time database, and we choose, one of the things that we choose is to save a lot of coding to track
Yes.
the technicians on field, instead of to make it in a relational database.
In other words, there's no large time of coding. It's compressed and it's straightforward.
Okay, so what were the limitations? So, what did you find any problems with using Firebase, or, you know, what did you did you look to see what the limitations might be, or did you find any limitations afterwards,
I think.
or not really yet, or not? I mean, I just asking.
Yeah.
Yes. But for limitations, actually we have to figure out first how to structure it better, to structure it in a good way, because as we just as you just use a relational database, we are using this kind of structure, and in NoSQL database is different. It's more simple, but we have to figure out how to make it better, because in our first design, we just create like a layer and sub-layers, and it becomes really difficult to manage. And another limitation for us, I think, was to learn how to make it properly.
Okay, thank you. All right, so crystal clear.
Mhm.
So, what were the alternatives that you looked at? Like, again, why did you choose? What is it, and why did you choose it?
Yes.
Well, Crystal, I have a lot of methodology of agile methodology. So at first, we're thinking about in agile methodology, and we start looking for these methodologies, and we find Crystal Clear, and we start reading it. It was fitable for us as a small team, and we like the way that it works, that have frequently delivered and have this osmotic communication that you have to talk every time. And I think this is the main thing that was fit for us.
Okay. Did you do a formal analysis? Like, did you look at a couple of different methodologies and write down the pros and cons for you, or did you just kind of read and think, oh yeah, this one suits us quite well?
No. Actually, when you found Crystal Clear, as it fit for us, I think we, we don't have too much time.
Okay, no, that's cool. Okay, good. All right. With your testing, there's a couple of things. I would have liked to have seen more detail about the testing, because I wasn't convinced that you'd use like boundary, how deeply you'd gone into thinking about testing for each. I know you don't have much time, but what kinds of tests, did you use any other of these like boundary value techniques? in your
Ma-
testing?
mainly we use black box testing. We think about partnering tests, but as this lack of time that you, this problem that you talk about to use properly in our methodology, we fail in make more testing that is necessary.
Okay.
So mainly what's black box.
Okay, so you feel your testing wasn't the best, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be
Okay, that's
better.
cool.
Could be.
Okay, could you go back to your slide now? This is just a learning thing. Could you go back to your slide where you've got your numbering for your requirements and you
Okay.
follow the numbering
Sure.
through?
Okay.
It's here.
Sorry.
That probably isn't the best way to do it.
Ah.
Testing. Okay.
This one?
Yeah. No, the one where you've got the, the numbers. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So what you've I think what you've effectively done is that you've taken a requirement, given it a number, and then given the test for that requirement the same number. Is that right?
Yeah.
But your tests and requirements don't match. You might have lots of different tests that address the one requirement. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So what did you do if you had a lot of different tests for the one requirement?
Okay. So in this project, we just fit one by one.
Right.
But if you want to do it, we keep the main requirement number, and we'll add A, B, C, D.
Right. So just a more usual way to do it is to give your test numbers
Mhm.
quite separate from your requirements numbers,
Yeah.
and then a separate table that links them
Okay.
up. That's how you
Yes.
usually do traceability.
Yes.
So you might say requirement MFR6 was addressed by tests 26, 9,
okay.
14 and
Okay.
all that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, that's that, and I won't go on for too much longer. What about your quality requirements? What were the quality aspects that were important for this application?
You can talk. Okay. About our quality requirements, we use Codacy to check our quality writing, quality of our code, and also we use about security. We use a bit.
Prone.
There's sure. We took care about maintainability to make this. We separate our architecture in a way that is easy to maintain after that, and also to reuse this code. If you have another application that should use the same models, you can use it, and make sure that this model is readable, understandable.
How did you make sure, how did you test that? How
At
did
first,
you test your code quality and all of that stuff? Did you just look and say, oh yeah, my code's cool, great?
we submit our code to Codacy website
Right?
to evaluate about the quality code. So for web app, we got good grades. In the mobile app, we see some issues that should be fixed
Yeah.
to make it better and to make it.
Okay, that's cool. And which other quality characteristics were important for your app?
The code structure, I try to use the cohesion and coupling, and try to use only one class do only one thing.
Okay, okay, that's cool. So that's all to do with like maintainability and all of that stuff. Any other quality characteristics that were important for your app, like security or these sorts of things? Did you think about that?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We also think about user experience.
Right.
So this is why the main thing that we send it to Maysiter
Yes,
okay.
to evaluate
A
our code.
professional one.
Right.
Yeah, so she get us hard feedback about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
She also mentioned she checked the code also, and she's also a developer, also a tester, and she said that the way I code in the web app, she doesn't get the it's not clear for her,
Right.
and also she told me that
Right, so hang on, so let's stick to the question asked, which is about other quality characteristics, and you were talking about user experience?
Because when she was following the test plan,
Right.
but she has user experience, like a feedback, the date is wrong, like why is it the format, there's like 33 February 30/30, and then there's also like 12/13
Right,
18.
okay.
standardized.
So she did,
So
you did
she got
test it, right,
confused,
yeah.
confusion, and she also told us like she has problem in user feedback because she was following our test plan, but it's how do you she doesn't understand, like
Right,
like the
right.
test plan was not well written,
Okay.
so
okay.
she
Maybe
was
that she doesn't have an overview first because we just send them the test. So
Yeah.
that's
no,
the
no, no,
problem.
no, don't then decide what the
Yeah.
tester meant.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
listen
I
to what the
understand.
tester says, you know.
Yeah,
okay.
but actually, and also like for example, like when we click download, she told us like, why is it active? Why like that
Okay.
for
So,
users?
so you did test it with
Yeah.
a usability expert, so
Yeah.
to speak, and she did give you some positive feedback. I mean,
Yeah,
some
mostly
feedback.
negative.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mean positive feedback. I mean
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
Real feedback.
You tested it and you found
Yeah.
bugs.
Yeah.
Okay,
And even
that's
the
cool.
client, we asked them about the
But the
feedback.
thing about the
and-
clients is like
Mm.
we test them to client and they're like, oh, okay, because
Yeah,
it's
it's always
functioning.
okay and that's always
But when it
fine.
comes to the professional
Yeah.
from my teacher, she said like the app is not deployable for her
Yeah.
part.
But that's
It's-
good that you did that. That you actually went to somebody who's an
Yeah, yeah.
expert in that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
also record her like she sent a video, when she
video,
installed
yeah. That's why
doing
we
the
did.
mobile.
That's
and
why
the
it's our testing a bit late because it's very subjective if we're just asked to our classmates and here.
Oh
so
yes,
it's
for
better
sure.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's me.
Naga?
Thank you.
So what is NoSQL?
A NoSQL compared to SQL. So I will discuss first the NoSQL. NoSQL, first it's an schemaless, and NoSQL, it's the basic example of NoSQL is a phone book. A phone book is a phone book has its name, address, and phone, and that's it. In reverse thing. SQL is just like how it is organized and structured. But a NoSQL is just like a folder together with a subfolder. There's parents, child, and another child. So that's how it different, and it's not relational.
So it doesn't have any schema.
Yeah, it doesn't have any schema.
So, but when you say it doesn't have any schema, did you face any challenge when compared to SQL?
Oh yes, because our first plan is to have a SQL database and to retrieve and get some photos to have a copy of the client. But they said we need also a photo base or real-time thing. So that's why we consider a NoSQL, and we found out that one of the favorable, it's not like our opinion, of the favorable thing is to use the Firebase.
And the difference between those two is like in NoSQL database we have to structure everything in the code. Unlike in the SQL we can create a table sample one and
Yeah.
input everything from
So I mean,
different.
the developer will depend on the schema that's on the SQL base.
So how do you retrieve the data or add the data?
From mobile first.
In mobile we use push function to add to the database. Yeah.
So when you use the push command, so do you need to give the table structure in the syntax?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have to like we use a child, child, and then it's like a folder directory. It's tree
Yeah.
diagram like this. So we
Right.
need to assign
Yeah.
every child.
Okay. And coming to your methodology, what is the term called reflective improvements?
Reflect improvement, it means after you deliver, because each part, each part of your delivery should be completely functional. After you deliver it, you have to make a reflection about if that's something wrong in the concept and what is your next steps, what is your priority, what you have to do first. This reflection is made after every delivery.
Right. And you were saying that whenever a technician is on the site, your images are getting displayed, right? So they will take the image of the work done and they'll be stored in the database.
Yes.
So where all these images are stored and what is the scalability of the images?
This image was stored actually when he took the photos. He will create a zip file and send it to database. The scalability depends on the kind of subscription that they have. So far they just have a small one that is limited to 50 giga, but it can be expandable to another type of
But
signature.
before we arrived that one, we made a computation based on the average stores of that day, because we have 19 technicians and other, basically 20 users will be
Yes.
utilizing the whole day, especially in the map part. If we will use the history of each timestamp, so times every 15 minutes, it's 4 times 4 times 8, like that. So we will see how it grows, and we explain it to the user that what if it will exceed on the maximum number, are you willing to pay or something? Then they said they agree.
Right. So do you use any image compression techniques or image compression algorithms?
No, we didn't, but we used a zip file.
Yeah, that is the
We did use a zip.
It's
To
like
com-
there's
to
no
compress.
scripting how to
Mhm.
do. We just zip it.
Yeah,
That's
just-
because that's the thing about what we use Java and Angular. It's just direct to the point. You don't
Because-
have to write long codes in order
Because
to
the
make
main
it happen.
problem for the client, it's hard for them. Before they had to download one by one photo. Now they can just download the
one-
whole
Folder.
zip
Yeah.
file.
In addition to that, before that one, we asked them what are the average photos in each technician to be sent daily or per hour. They said their tasks are just like 3 the whole day. That's the maximum. So we also applied the how many average photos and videos, even videos. I think it's, but no, we are not using the videos right now. But that's one of the features of Firebase.
Right. Yeah, that's
Okay. Why didn't you look at Leo's project where he used compared image compression? Just think about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you know about Leo, he used so much time, he used the whole, you all know that, right?
Yeah.
And he used so much work compressing images and found the best options and all that. Okay. How many maximum users at a time?
20.
20.
20 users including the admin.
What if the company expands very fast? Have you future-proofed your project? Have you heard the word future-proof?
That
Future-proof, that means all of a sudden Auckland has more population. All of a sudden CellWatch has more customers or more technicians.
Yeah, like the one who tests our web application also mentions that, and
Yeah.
like, I think we did not talk about it.
I know your
Yeah.
project is
Yeah.
hard, but yeah, some of the things to
Yeah,
think.
that's-
Yep, well done.
Thank you.
Very good. So,
Next door.
so we go to the next room now. Yeah. I think you hold on to it until we finish the marking, right? Yeah. We go to the next one and hopefully
Can sleep now.
you can relax now.
Yeah. Finally, I can sleep. Thank you.
Plugged it in, but I forgot to plug it in here. That was a good presentation, yeah. Heaps better than the last one.
Very nice presentation. If I compare you guys, but that room, the bed, yeah,
Thank you. So, are you gonna deploy her? Later? Nice. But we're gonna present. When are you gonna?
Me on Friday.
Oh, Friday, so we can just deploy it.